And my uncle came back and beat me up. And that was the day when I left my uncle's house. I was bleeding all over. You are in a house and you can feel it that I don't belong here. Kachanana, I learned how to steal from that level. I know very well that education is the key to success. My worry really was, how will I finish school?
You tried to commit suicide 3 times.
I even drank the log where I asked God questions. I've cursed God before. I've doubted God before. And I was like, God, when I was about to just see an aeroplane in my life, and that's why I was caught with TB. Kachanana, I was traumatized there in that word. I saw 7 people dying in my eyes. I was around 16, 17, somewhere there. Have you ever slept and you feel like tonight I'm the one going? He said to me, I'm the creator of heaven and earth. So I'm found both on earth and in heaven. And I said, God, where on earth do you stay? And he said to me, I live in people. And he was just excited. And I was like, wow. Even myself, I thought that I was doing something that was making someone happy. I was making money right in the toilet. I always tell people to say, do things to an extent where people begin to imagine you are the CEO in the company. Because even us as men, we just imagine when you see your behavior as a woman to say, you can get married. They know me in Mtendere there, Unip Market, big buyer.
Suffering, hope, survival, heartbreak, rejection. These are not just words. They are the road markers of a life that has been tested and refined. On today's episode, Dr. Stephen Tenga takes us inside the dungeons, drainages, and the trials that forged him. Who is Dr. Stephen Tenga and why should we care? From street kid to the corridors of power. Today, he is the CEO of his own company, Life Package Solutions. He's a trainer, a national development consultant. He has worked with government institutions. He's worked with private corporations, mines, marketeers, bus conductors, small businesses too. No business is too big or too small that he couldn't work with it. His influence is undeniable and his story is almost like a movie. It's one that we can all see ourselves in. And I have to remind you, at a time when fake lives and fake motivation are flooding our world, very few are willing to share their true scars. The scars that made them who they are today. But when they do, their perspectives and their experiences give us permission and the push to accelerate our own journey. Welcome to Catch Up. This is part 1 of our conversation with Dr. Steve Ntenga.
Okay, so Dr. Stephen, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so grateful, Kachanana, for hosting me on this Catch Up with Kachanana, Zodi. I know this has been long overdue. I could have done this even 5 years ago or so. But I think there's how God works in life, and God is time is the best indeed, and I believe in that. And we can't keep hiding. We've been in the wilderness for a very long time. This is our time to come out and so on. So Dr. Steve Wamnyima Ntenga are my full names. I got my honorary doctorate last year. We were honored by Kesmond University of Cameroon and USA. That's the same university that honored also the vice president this year. So Dr. Steve was born in 1980, from a mother called Jema Lubinda Wamnyima Lozi, and from a man called Mr. Lawrence Mlemba Ntenga, is Mambwe. Yes. So from the beginning, I came to know about my mother in grade 7. And I came to know about my father at the age of 25, after I was actually done with the school. So, but all this time I used to wonder.
25.
No, I actually knew him, but I didn't know him as my father.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I didn't know him as my father, but I knew him. But meeting, as in knowing the truth about what has been going on, it is when I came to discover about that. I'll talk about how I was discovered and so on. So during that time, you are in a house and you can feel it that I don't belong here. There are children of your age, there are children above your age, but you seem to be working more than anybody else. So I knew household works at a tender age. And also, I stayed in 5 different homes where I was, you could feel it that in this house, I don't belong here. These are not my parents. I don't know if you've experienced this, where you just go and you see children are playing around the body. When you go there, someone is not comfortable with you having around with you. So, Kachanana, my birth certificate is a different name. Grade 7 is a different name. Grade 9 is a different name. Grade 12 is a different name. I've been
Why?
in school so wherever I was going, they were changing me the surnames.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
whoever become my guardian changes the surname. And I think they didn't see the repercussion of this at the end of the day. But it's something that I've formalized now through the lawyers and everything. Yeah, I'm now living my normal life. I've been in school, Kachanana, from grade 1 to grade 12 for 16 years. I was in school
Wow.
for that period. Yeah, so the most painful one was when I was brought down from grade 10 to grade 8 for the sake of changing me the name for the last time. And that was
Why?
my uncle. So that time now, there's a lot behind all these things at family level that I wouldn't want to bring out today on this day. But people were like fighting for this, and then at some point they have to say, no, this is what it is, and so on. And you are young, you know nothing about anything. These are decisions, these are elders, guardians that are making decisions. And at some point, I think they have to reach a final agreement and say, okay, this is what is going to be. So I was taken to a school where my uncle, my real mother's elder brother, was a secondary school teacher. And he equally failed to look after me. I will complain to my mother, and my mother was not okay with it. So I remember when I wrote my grade 10, Kachanana will be in school. And that time when they're chasing children that haven't paid school fees, you'll be one of them. And then when you go home, your uncle will tell you, go back, I've spoken to them. Every day it's like that. So I was sitting in a class and I'm thinking, I might be chased right now. So it so happened that all this period he was not paying for my education, grade 8, grade 9, despite coming back to that. So at that school where I passed to go to a higher school in grade 10, Hillcrest, and there
Wow,
was no
that's a big
sponsorship for
achievement
me.
that time.
I was
Hillcrest.
yes, and I owed the school a lot of money. So that day when we suffered, I wrote some big letter to my mother complaining on how my uncle was treating me. And my mother was being told, I'm just okay. But when I flooded out everything to my mother was upset with my uncle. And my uncle came back and beat me up. And that was the day when I left my uncle's house. I was bleeding all over and I was beaten. And so my aim was to, we used to do a lot of gardening at my uncle's place. We used to do a lot of gardening, cabbages, used to supply cabbages at school. He used to supply tomatoes at school and so on, but we're not getting anything. Kachanana, I learned how to steal from that level because I couldn't even get a basic from that. So I could steal cabbages, steal what in the night and go and sell to those teachers who could not do farming and so on. And then when I make a bit of money, I started saving at a tender age. I used to give a certain teacher some money to say, keep this money for me. And that day when my uncle beat me to an extent where I felt I was not needed in his house, I went back to the teacher that used to keep my money around 22 hours. And I picked up a 25 kg sack to pack my clothes. I didn't even have a bag. So as I was going, I thought of passing through the head teacher's the house to just explain myself about what is going on. Around 22, I was just in his house. So I went to the head teacher and he saw me bleeding and he was like, "Are you being attacked?" Then I explained the situation. He asked about my background and I explained my background to him. He felt so bad and he looked at me and he said, "Okay, fine, I think we shall know what to do. You can't move in the night like this time." He wrote a note and I took it to the head boy, and that note was saying, ask him to get to any of the dormitories. That was a Friday where we can meet him up on Monday and have a discussion with him. So that's how I went. I chose a dormitory where there was my friends, my classmates, so that I can just feel a bit happy. But everybody was just surprised. Were you attacked or something? Kachanana, I keep a lot of secrets with myself in my life like this. So I went into that dormitory and I found friends. Monday came, and when Monday came, they had a committee. You know, there's that school committee where they discuss vulnerable children and so on, where they can see they can give support and so on. So in that meeting, they went to my class. They didn't find me. They sent someone go and call me. Then I went there. When I went into the office, I found teachers, and they asked me to sit down on the floor. About 7 teachers in that office of the head teacher. And then they said, can you call his uncle, Mr. Omnima? And that's how he was called. He was not told anything. They just told him to say, sir, we know how you've been irresponsible, and we all know that you are responsible. You failed to look after this child. And as a school, we have taken over this child. So Kachanana, me, I was a proper child of a school. Not you people that just go into 7-hour school where children. No. Me, I was a proper child of the school. I was adopted on a condition that during school holidays, I was to remain and feed piggery, poultry, school farming, school gardening. When school opened, they pay for my education. The school was Pemba Secondary. There's no secret about that. That was at Pemba Secondary School, where I learned how to speak some fluent Tonganese and so on. So remember, I did my school up to grade 10, and I was brought back from grade 10 to grade 8. So I was just doing a repetition. So I passed my grade 10, so it was very easier. I even learned what I didn't learn from my previous grade 9. So I did grade 8 to grade 9 twice.
I remember. So it was like they gave you an extra 2 years of revision.
Exactly.
Dr. Steve Ntenga's story could have ended before it began. Abuse, neglect, and also a possible dangerous future where he lived a life that might have graduated him from simple thief to robber or worse. But salvation came in the form of Pemba Secondary School that took him in. Was this the breakthrough that would finally set him free? Let's keep watching.
Yes, so that's how I was adopted by the school, and I was given those conditions. And the condition was during school holidays, when everybody's left, I was to remain behind. So I accepted the condition, and for me, I was so eager to finish school. I know very well that education is the key to success, and I saw a lot of successful people, and it was about education. So my worry really was, how will I finish school? But God willing, the way was opened and so on. So I accepted that, Kachanana. I'll tell you, the first holiday, and I never gotten used to this situation. My worst moment of my lifetime was when schools have closed. Everybody's excited. They're all going to see their parents, their brothers, their sisters. So for me, it was a sad moment, and you know how it feels. And you begin to think so much and so on. Kachanana, during that period, I had to commit suicide about 3 times in my life. So it was very sad. I remained, and I watched everybody going.
Suicide 3 times.
I even drank the logo. I used to use logo a lot and Doom, but then there was Target, I think, not Doom. So I tried 3 times because I reached a point where I asked God questions. I've cursed God before. I've doubted God before. And I think with him, he just said, my son, I know what I'm going through. I didn't have anyone to talk to me like the way people get some counseling or something. It was all like that. But I'll hide when I see people. I'll hide. I'll pretend as if all is well, but I was being eaten inside me. So my worst moment was when everybody's left and you're the only one around the school. And you remember the noise that is always around the school. In the school, sometimes they'll talk about, there are ghosts in the dormitories, there's all these stories and death and so on. So I enjoyed. Kachanana, my groceries were going around the school and pick up small pieces of soap. Your last soap that you throw away, the geisha, the chick, the life boy. Then I'll go with the picking up Claire, cocoa butter, just to make up for 5 bottles at least for my groceries. The Colgate I knew, Kachanana, was not the Colgate of that one. It was the one for the going behind. And
what do you mean
I have a lot of those. When you are done with Colgate, now you have to open it behind and enter the toothbrush inside it. That was the lifestyle. So I was always probably the first person, the last person to bath because I would feel shy before my friends. And I'll just live normal. just like any other people. I'll even actually be like the most excited person, like I come from a well-to-do family and so on. But when that moment came, I needed to catch up. And I think that was the time that I can say that was my first employment, because during that period, I became responsible over myself, how to look after myself and everything. And Kachanana, I was very active in school. If you ask everybody there, I used to do 100 meters. I used to run. I was in long jump. Yes, wow. 100 meters.
Long I was also very athletic, and my husband laughs at me at the Olympic champion. Kylie, we are fat now. The Olympic champion.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So
wow.
I'll do a high jump. I was active in jets, especially the quiz. I was a debater. I was a dramatist. I was a joke. So I didn't even know what I was going to become, but I was active in all these things. So I think this is the reason why something really has come out of all the talents, and I thank God that I've discovered who I am. So grade 12, and also I was also a very big chess player, actually at provincial level. Yes, because I remember we came to Lusaka to participate in grade 12 term 2. Yes, provincial, yes. And we were at Matelo Boys there. And there I was chosen amongst the top 10, and I came out number 3 in chess nationwide. And we were chosen to go under national team to go and play chess in Italy. And that's where we went to University Teaching Hospital for medicals. And that's why I was caught with TB. So they have to send me back, and I was like, God, when I was about to just see an aeroplane in my life, what is going on? And when you achieve and then you're just brought back, it's a very, very, very big heartbreak. So I went back to school. I told the school why I couldn't go. They took me further for medicals at Monze Hospital. And there, Kachanana, I was admitted for 3 months at Monze Hospital. I had serious TB. In that 3 months, Kachanana, I never saw any of my relatives coming there. The hospital administration asked me if I've got relatives. I gave them the numbers, and everybody kept saying, "We'll come tomorrow, we'll come next week." Until when time going. Kachanana, I was traumatized there in that ward. I saw 7 people dying in my eyes. And
How old were you at this time?
I was like, wow. I was around 16, 17, somewhere there. At that time, yeah. So, I've got even these photos. I think at some point I need to send over these photos to you so that you can see. But those that can catch up with me, they can go to Zambia Daily Mail. Zambia Daily Mail did this story in 2013, 3rd August. And you go to any library, you find this story there, and you see me there at my time of TB, and at the time when I started doing what I'm doing. So Kachanana, have you ever slept and you feel like tonight I'm the one going, waiting, and I will not sleep because I felt like I was the next person to go. No ways everybody can go. What is special about me? And I'm sure this is just a journey. I took it like that it's a must that everyone in the hospital is supposed to die. Even at the point when I was feeling like I'm healing, but I still felt I was dying. And that's how at some point I was discharged.
Even after long years in the classroom, life struck again. TB, tuberculosis, a very serious sickness that could have taken his life. Yet, he survived. With survival comes a new promise, a chance at a better tomorrow. Was that tomorrow finally going to deliver or disappoint?
Even at the point when I was feeling like I'm healing, but I still felt I was dying. And that's how at some point I was discharged. And when I was discharged, I spent my 2 nights at Tutas nightclub. That was my first accommodation. I had nowhere to go. I was thinking, and in that 2 days, I'll go down Tutas there in Monze. There's a market there where they cook.
Wait a second. From the hospital, you went to Tutas nightclub?
Yes, that's why I spent my 2 nights of my discharge, because I had no direction where to go. I thought of all the relatives, and I was like, I can't go anywhere else. So, Kachanana, my survival of eating, I didn't have any money with me. I used to go down to there for 2 days to just those restaurants and ask them to help them draw the water, wash the place, to just have a leftover meal, not to give me a meal, to have a leftover meal. And to some extent, I learned that looking for work is easy, but looking for a job is difficult. Yes, because if you work, you can end up getting a job, but people doesn't have that mindset. They always want to ride on their qualifications. They always want to ride on who they are, their value they've set by themselves that other people can't see, and so on. And that's how come people are saying there's no employment, there's no employment. There's no employment, yes, but work is there. So this is just another way of getting a job in life. So Kachanana, 2 days later, I used to hear stories at school, how people travel in the train without paying. So I got a skill. You know what? When you hear the people that are doing the tickets are coming, you go under the chair, or sometimes you go in the toilet, you hide. So the journey began, Kachanana. I went at the railway station and I jumped into the train. My aim was to come to Lusaka and become a street kid, nothing else. So I was ready to become a street kid, and this is how I came to Lusaka.
Kid? This is from school? This is from school? Is this after you finished school? Or did you finish your grade 12?
Yes, I finished my grade 12. I actually wrote it in the hospital. In the hospital, that's why I wrote my grade 12. So I finished my grade 12. Yes, wow. But I had only I got 37 points. I never passed.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that must have been rough. So so right after the hospital, let me get this timeline correct. Right after the hospital, you go out in the streets, you start asking for food, sleeping by the nightclub. I'm guessing it's because there were people there. Maybe there was like you wanted to be where there are people. You can't just sleep in the bush, for example. Is that the reason why?
Yes. That was the reason why. Yes.
Yeah. I know this because
and then I jumped on a train.
Yeah, then you jumped on a train to come and did you hear about street kids in Lusaka? Like, what made you think, oh, I'm going to become a street kid? What were you hearing about street kids from Pemba there?
I heard about it from school. Yeah, I heard it about it from school. We used to share a lot of stories with people from school. Yes, yeah, I used to hear from school. No, Lusaka could be a street kid. When you go there, those that have got no parents, they're there, and so on. There are so many things to do. You know, we used to hear a lot of stories from Lusaka people. They come, they talk about so many things. So the idea was to come to Lusaka since I had nowhere to go. Yeah, so since I had nowhere to go, it was for me to be in the streets and so on. So I jumped on a train, Kachanana, and when I hear ticket, I did like what I had. I'll go under the chair, and I survived Monze, and now in between Kafue and Lusaka, Kachanana, I was caught.
How?
Beaten by those railway police. I didn't have a ticket. They wanted a ticket, and I didn't have it. And I was there. They said, give us the money. I didn't have the money to give them. So that's what they used to do in the trains. I think when you don't have money, they'll beat you. And that's how you pay. So they asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Kapiri, because I knew that Kapiri was further than Lusaka. So they said, okay, fine, we'll drop you at Lusaka. I was beaten, Kachanana. And now they took me to their staff coach, where they sit as a staff. And we were plenty of us there. I was not the only one who didn't pay. So when you reach Lusaka, we were all kicked out, and we reached. So when I reached there, Kachanana, I was now looking for where to stay. And I picked up my 25 kg of clothes, not a suitcase of clothes, 25 kg of clothes. This is how I came to Lusaka. And thereafter, Kachanana, I saw people under the shelter, and I said, this could be a place where I can be, waiting station there at railway station. So that was my first accommodation for 1 month. And survival, I already picked up a way of surviving right from Monze. Remember, they're going to the restaurant. So I was in intercity bus terminus there. That's why I used to go and do piece jobs just to get a leftover. And sometimes we'll do a piece jobs. I'll see friends how they're doing it, vinyamunyamu, just to make a coin or something, and so on. So after a month, they discovered I was around the railway station. Vinyamunyamu are the people that just does the piece works, the Nyamula things for people, piece job to load and offload from the bus. Yes, yes, that's how they call them. Yes, so there, Kachanana, I survived through leftovers. I can safely say I've lived the life of a dog before, because leftovers are not meant for human beings. Leftovers are meant for a dog. So after a month, they discovered I was living around that place at Lelo Station. And that's how, again, I was beaten to leave that station. But my friends that I found in Intercity bus terminus, Devi, Moses, told me, as we sleep in a drainage, there they beat. So I don't know how you survive. So I joined the guys from there, in between Intercity bus terminus and the Zambia Railways. There are drainages there. That's why we spent our nights, I think, for about 14 days. I joined those guys. And I was still on TB treatment, by the way. So from there, I said I can't be here.
You had
That's how I moved into Intercity. Yes, I was still on medication. The TB for a long time ago used to last even for 1 year. You'll be on medication for 1 year. As long as you just go to the hospital,
they gave you in advance all the medication? Or they just said you to go to any hospital?
Any hospital, yes, with my card to go and pick up the medicine and so on, yeah. So inside there, I spent about 3 months in Intercity. So I moved into Intercity now. So there, Kachanana, there's no station.
As if it's a flat, like I moved to Kabwata or I moved to Salama Park. Now you moved into Intercity. Wow. Like it's not real, huh?
Yes, so there's no station there, Kachanana. I've never slept. Lundazi, I know where the Lundazi people are, Nakonde. So there I had fear of, if I'm at one place for a long time, they'll discover and then they'll beat me up again. But I needed to find a way of surviving. So on my 4th month, that's when my uncle, you remember from the first house where I was born from, he came across me and he asked me, "We've been looking for you. Where have you been?" This man loved me so much. He still loves me so much, Mr. Lawrence Intenga. And he said, "Where is your bag?" He looked at my bag. It was a 25 kg. And then he said, "Is this your bag?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, what is inside there?" And I said, "There's just NRC and school testimonial." That's how he picked me up. He said, "Let's go together." And that's how we went. We went to Mtendele. I'm Mtendele Wood Kachanana. So there he said, "No, I just did a pass out. I just did a pass out as a police last year. So here's a 5-bedroom house. So each and every police officer has got a room here. But I'll stay with you. You eat what I eat. Here's the clothes. You put on my clothes." Very good man indeed. And then he said, "Once you get a job, then you have to shift, and then you can also stay on your own." So I said, "Thank you very much." And I felt like I've now arrived. And I had someone at least who accepted me, and it was a good thing for me.
For the first time, Steve had a roof over his head, clothes on his back, a place to bathe, and most importantly, someone who wasn't pushing him away, but pulling him forward. His uncle in Mtendere. So, with this new motivation, he set out to find work. Was this, at last, the breakthrough he has been waiting for? Or would the cycle of suffering and rejection strike again?
So through finding out Kachanana, I found out from this gentleman who said he works for the national at the airports at Zega. So he said there's a number of peace jobs when you go to the airports there at Zega. There's a lot of peace jobs. So after I went there, I asked for transport money from my uncle, and he helped me with transport money. We went there, and we didn't find, unfortunately, job at Zega, but he just advised me to go office after office. So I went to all these offices. Kachanana, I was being kicked out like a dog. Sometimes they'll just tell me, "What are you doing here?" Yes, so they'll just tell me, "What are you doing here?" Yes, no, here we don't employ, we don't do what. Kachanana, I've always learned ways of looking for a job. Where you go back to one company and your heart is telling you this is what you're supposed to be. You tell them, they'll tell you, "Yesterday we told you there was no employment." I said, "No, I thought maybe I fired someone today." I was stubborn like that.
Did you really say that?
Yes, I thought maybe I fired someone today or yesterday. Then I go back. No, I thought maybe someone has just left or resigned or something. And then this man was like, "We've told you already there's no work here. You'll be arrested here. This is trespass." So that's how I would walk from Tendele, actually, Kachanana, to go and look for a job at the airports. I walked that distance, and it was a pit for me. So one day, as I was going back from the airport to Mtendere, that was about 2 months of just looking. You know, my heart was really at the airports. A van stopped for me, and they called me. I was on the opposite direction. Then the driver calls me. Yo, mnyama tabwera kuno, come here, you boy. Then I went there. Then I found 2 ladies there, and then they asked me, we always see you passing here. Where do you go? So I told them, no, I actually go and look for a job. Where do you stay? I said, I stay in Mtendere. Then he said, oh, wow, people suffer a lot. So you mean you go and look for a job? So they had a small discussion there. That's how they offered to get me to their van. And we went back to the airports. And I found a lot of people in the van. They were stepping on me, you know. So I was trying to wonder what it was. So when you reach there, I just saw people jumping out of the van. When they jumped out of the van, people were picking up the mops, they were picking up the trolleys. And after everybody has gone, that's how they called me. They said, come, we hear your story. So that's how I went there. And these ladies is Madam Patricia and Madam Janet. And this is Mr. Clean Zambia. So Mr. Clean Zambia, you find them in shop right up to now. They're still there. When you go to the airports, you still find Madam Janet. She's still there, and she'll tell you about me and how they gave me the job. She's still working for Mr. Clean. She's still the manager there. Yes. So they offered me that job. I almost denied that job, Kachanana, because I was feeling I'm a grade 12, cleaning, what? But something came to my mind. I said, hold on, Steve. You were feeding pig at poultry school farming. And this is international airports, and it's Mr. Clean. And no wonder sometimes people doesn't value what they have because their background doesn't support where they are. And that's why it's very important to have a humble background. But because of that aspect of feeding pig at poultry and school farming, I accepted doing cleaning. So that was my second job from pig at poultry and so on at Lusaka International Airports there. All the airports, opposite the police there, that was the busiest toilet. That toilet is used by the people that are working at the airports. That toilet is used by the travelers. That toilet is used by the people that are escorting the travelers. You know, I learned one thing from that toilet. That toilet is not about, I cleaned at 10 hours, I cleaned at 11 hours. Toilet is about every person that leaves the toilet has got potential to leave dead for the next person. So I did that job for a year. I was not... sometimes I'll see friends that I used to be at school. I'll run into that room, written stuff. That's when I'll go and do the job. So at some point, you know, Kachanana, our lunch was when you hear an aeroplane has come, you give it about 31 hours, then you run to the rubbish pit to go and pick up a sandwich at least. Have you ever picked up a sandwich? There's a diaper here, and then you pick up a sandwich and you eat for your lunch. You know, sometimes we'll offer to go early at the rubbish pit, to go early just to go and become a porter. You know, people are traveling, you pick up the bags on the trolley, you make them settle, they give you a 5 kwacha or something, then you set like that. I survived that. So one day I was praying, Kachanana, and I used to ask God, I don't know if you have looked up in the skies and you're assuming you can see God and just hear his word saying something to you. And this is how a word, you know, I've learned how to communicate with God where I am here. I listen attentively to God. I listen a lot of things. I spare much time to listen to just what he talks about. And the word said, I don't just live in heaven, because I had the tendency of looking up in the sky. He said to me, I'm the creator of heaven and earth. So I'm found both on earth and in heaven. And I said, God, where on earth do you stay? I would really want to come and meet you. And he said to me, I live in people. I said, what type of people? Are they white? Are they colored? Are they black or something? He just said, I stay in people. And I said, so how do I reach out to you? And he said, being nice to people is the only way you can reach out to me. I said, wow. Then I went back in that toilet and I was thinking what I should do. Kachanana, the first customer that came there, some old man, I was like, welcome to my office. And he said, what did you say? I said, welcome to my office. And he started laughing. Toilet, office? I said, yes, sir. And whilst he's laughing, I told him, please, you are free to use my fax machines. And I meant the toilets. Which one do you want to use? He pointed at one. You know, I was in spirit, Kachanana. I was in high spirit, and I wanted to meet God. You know,
Uh-huh.
and he went there. I sprayed the toilet, and I told him, "You may take a seat." And he sat down. When he was done, he found me by the door, and I asked him if he enjoyed, sir. And he was busy laughing, just like you're laughing like this. He was busy laughing. So I went to the
Oh my
tap, I
God.
opened the tap for him, and he was just excited. And I was like, wow. Even myself, I felt happy that I was doing something that was making someone happy or something, whatever it is.
Wow.
And I can tell you,
Wow.
Kachanana, that was the beginning of customer service in my life, in the toilet. That's why it was born. So
Customer
he touches
service
my
from
shoulder and
the
he says, young
toilet.
man, if you go from the toilet, he said, young man, if you continue with this attitude, you'll go far in life.
Wow.
For the very first time, I had someone tell me positive words, and I felt
Wow.
encouraged. He gets into his pocket and gives me some money that I don't understand. And I look at this man, I don't understand it, but I still said, thank you so very much. And he said, keep it up. And this is why I learned about keeping it up. You have to be up. No one will tell you to keep it up when you are down. You have to be up and you have to put yourself up, Kachanana. So that revelation really helped me to begin to look at things so differently. And I went to ask my friend about that man and said, he was surprised. Kachanana, we used to get 109 as a salary. That was my salary, 109 in 2002. So the gentleman said, give you $10. Yes.
Wow.
Who gave you $10? I said, is this a dollar? Dear dollar. Well, this is a dollar. Let's go and change. We went to the bank there, Zanaco there, we changed. And then kwacha was at 5 kwacha. So we had like a 5th kwacha and we shared and it paid me. I said, this guy is even sharing my money. But anyway, he has shown me that this is dollar. He has done his part. I said, okay, it's part of the journey. So that's how I went back to the trade. Kachanana, I started doing that to each and everyone. Whether you work at the airports, whether you are traveling, it was welcome to my office. And that's how I realized, oh, so this is what people call rebranding. So I was in black. Now I've repainted. I'm now in white. And I'll continue doing this. Kachanana, I was going to the rubbish pit to go and pick up some food. I was making money right in the toilet.
Come on.
And there's nothing that will stop anybody else to make money where they are. Yes, where you are, you can make money. Whether you are a fuel attendant, whether you are what, you can make money where you are. If in a toilet, the worst job ever, people, you know, you get into the toilet, what you see people are vomiting. There's nothing that I've never seen in my life, Kachanana. There's nothing that I've never smelled in my life. And it just changed. In about 6 months, you know, I even started attracting questions like, how much do you get paid? You know, people are gaining some interest of having you somewhere. And I always tell people to say, do things to an extent where people begin to imagine you are the CEO in the company. People begin to imagine you can be their secretary or somewhere. Because even us as men, we just imagine when you see your behavior as a woman to say you can get married. So Kachanana, in that toilet, the thing that I learned there is I set a standard and began to position myself using that standard, you know. And it was all awesome. If there's a job I miss right now, Kachanana, is toilet. I made money, dollars. They know me in Mtendere there, Unip Market, big buyer.
Wow. What a journey Dr. Stephen Tenga has shared with us today. He was outcast, he was beaten. At one point, he was even slipping toward the life of crime. He was adopted, yes, by a boarding school, but he was left acutely lonely when the other children went home. He was left to tend pigs, take care of chickens, while battling the silence of abandonment. Then came tuberculosis, a disease that nearly took his life. Before his very own eyes, it claimed the lives of 7 other people. Alone in a hospital bed, no visitors, no family, no comfort. And when he survived, he was discharged only to now start sleeping outside a nightclub, scavenging leftovers from restaurants just to stay alive. He failed grade 12 while he was in the hospital. He was adrift, an aspiring street kid with nowhere to turn, until one man, an uncle, pulled him from the darkness. Finally, a roof, a family, love. That one act gave him the strength to try again. He searched for work and finally found it. A toilet cleaner, degrading in the eyes of many, But for Steve, it was a great opportunity and he embraced it. He owned that toilet like a CEO, turning attitude into tips into real money, more than his salary. And finally, dignity into purpose. But here's the question. How does a boy who cleaned toilets for survival rise into the corridors of power? How does this story stretch from the streets to influencing businesses, government institutions, mines, private companies, and even the smaller markets? That's the story that's waiting for us in part 2. Make sure to watch it right here.